Canada's best golf courses from 1 to 100. We're going to count them down today on SCOREGolf TV. It's the Top 100 special here on TSN.
This is SCOREGolf, the voice of Canadian golf. SCOREGolf is powered by Volkswagen, from one good drive to another. Brought to you by SCOREGolf's Top 100 Canadian courses. From 1 to 100, Canada's best courses. Now, here's your host, Bob Weeks.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to SCOREGolf TV's special edition. This is the top 100 golf courses in Canada. This is where we count them down from 100 down to 1 and tell you what are the best courses from coast to coast. Of course, this would generate a lot of controversy, a lot of people talking about where their course ranks and should it be higher or should it be lower, who's moved up, who's moved down, and that's specifically why we rank these courses, to give you a chance to give us your feedback on them. But how do we do it? How do we rank these courses? To start things off, let's find that out with Jason Logan.
SCOREGolf magazine relies on a panel of course raters that this year numbered 124. This panel is comprised of golf course professionals, club managers, superintendents, members of the media, as well as public players and members of private clubs who are unaffiliated with the golf course industry. It's important to note that those who do work at golf courses are not allowed to rate those courses. These panelists are volunteers who travel to courses on their own time and on their own dime, and they rate courses on 9 different categories: design, challenge, strategy, beauty, par 3 holes, par 4 holes, par 5 holes, conditioning, and fun. That produces an overall score of 10 to 2 decimal places. We then take all of the ratings for a particular course and average them out to arrive again at a score out of 10. Very important to note, nobody that is employed at SCOREGolf magazine is allowed to sit on the panel. These are strictly volunteers that we rely on year over year over year. To be eligible for the top 100, a course must be rated by 10 different panelists, and it must be open for 2 full years.
So without further ado, let's get started on the 2012 Top 100 Canadian Golf Course Ranking, beginning with number 100. And what better way to start than with a course designed by Canada's most famous golf course designer, Stanley Thompson. It's Burlington Golf and Country Club, built in 1922. At 99, it's Black Bear Ridge in Belleville, Ontario. Coming in at 98, Alberta's Northern Bear Golf Club, which is now 10 years old. At 97, located in the British Columbia interior town of Invermere, it's Eagle Ranch. Cracking the top 100 at number 96 is Graham Cook's 1999 creation Glen Arbor Golf Club in Nova Scotia.
Glen Arbor is really set on a neat piece of property with lots of shifting elevation and plays over a lake. I'd argue one of Graham Cook's better designs. Friendly enough from the tee, but with enough challenge to be interesting for all players.
Number 95 features the first of many Thomas McBroom designs with the Algonquin Golf Club at St. Andrews by the Sea in New Brunswick. At 94, it's the Lambton Golf and Country Club, which was redesigned by Rhys Jones in 2010. Coming in at 93 is Bob Cupp's 1991 design Mad River Golf Club in Creemore, Ontario. At 92 is the famed home course of Richard Zokol and Doug Roxborough, Marine Drive Golf Club in Vancouver. And coming in at 91 is Aurora's Magna Golf Club. At 90, it's another Thomas McBroom design, Deer Ridge Golf Club in Kitchener, Ontario. The 89th course on our list is Laval-sur-le-Lac, the Green Course.
A really interesting design, kind of a classic one, and with a really nice renovation job by Ian Andrew a few years ago. I think this is a course that probably gets overlooked by a lot of people, but it really warrants a second glance. It's a lot of fun to play with some really interesting holes and a really tough, intriguing finish.
At 88, it's the second Stanley Thompson course on the list. It's the Cataraqui Golf and Country Club. At 87, Ron Garl's Wooden Sticks, where 12 of the 18 holes were inspired by some of the most famous golf holes in the world. Saskatoon's Riverside Country Club is the first Saskatchewan course to make the list in 2012, coming in at 86. At 85 comes perhaps one of Ontario's most underrated courses, the Lookout Point Country Club, just outside of Welland in Fonthill. At 84 is another course by the great Stanley Thompson. This time it's the Thornhill Golf and Country Club. Heritage Point, the Desert and Heritage Nines in Calgary, finishes up at 83. Number 82 rests on top of the extinct volcano cone of Mount Ida. It's Salmon Arm Golf Club, one of BC's finest interior courses. And at 81, making a huge jump into the top 100 for the first time, is Nationwide Tour player Brad Fritch's home course, Rideau View Golf and Country Club in the Ottawa Valley. When we come back, we'll move on to the next 80 courses in our countdown, but not before we have a look at Canada's greatest golf course architect, Stanley Thompson. You know, if you look at the top 10 list, there is one name that stands out consistently among many of the best courses. His name is Stanley Thompson. A lot of people may not know a lot about him, but he was one of the greatest golf course architects of his era. And the fact that so many of his golf courses are still on this list almost a century after they were built speaks volume to what a great architect he was. Let's spend a minute now to get a little bit more information about Stanley Thompson. Nearly 60 years after his death, the influence of Stanley Thompson on Canadian golf still reverberates from one coast to the other. The legendary architect has more than a dozen courses on this year's Top 100 ranking, including half of the top 10. It's a remarkable legacy of a man who designed more than 150 courses in Canada and around the world, and a man who is still influencing some of today's architects.
His courses have really stood the test of time. They're classic designs. Most of his well-known courses are, they have that beautiful classic look to them. They seem to fit into their environment very well. Very natural looking golf courses. And they're fun to play. And they can be very challenging if you set them up for a tournament, and move the tees back and tuck the pins in certain positions and speed up the greens. They can be a great test, such as St. George's was for the Open a couple years ago.
First of all, he was a master architect. I don't think anybody's going to debate he was a master at his craft. But I think, just as I just said, Stanley really understood how players play this game and how they derive enjoyment from the game. He could create golf courses that were tough enough for the good players, but he had a real knack for understanding how people played the game, where they missed shots, and just creating that right amount of difficulty without overkill.
Among Thompson's best are two of the most recognizable of Canadian courses, Fairmont Jasper Park Lodge and Fairmont Banff Springs. Both layouts are still marveling golfers who come from around the world to see the remarkable courses in the Rockies.
I think people make the effort to come and play Stanley Thompson courses when they're in Canada. I think sometimes as Canadians we underestimate how well sort of our elite artists are perceived in the rest of the world. And there's no question that people come to Canada and they look to play Jasper, Banff, Highlands, Capilano if they can get on it, St. George's if they can get on it. That's where they're starting their list, is his work. And then it comes to other places like Hamilton or the National or somewhere else. But it's Thompson where everybody begins.
Well, Banff Springs course is Stanley Thompson, and that is certainly one of his legendary golf courses. It was certainly one of his higher budget golf courses. That was one he built for the CPR back in the Depression, and the famous story there is they had no soil, so they had to bring it in by rail car from Alberta and Saskatchewan. So it was and Stanley used to like to say it was the first golf course ever built in North America that cost over $1 million. So that was a lot of money back in the Depression era. But it showed the commitment of the CPR to hire the right guy and build the right golf course as an amenity to the Banff Springs Hotel. So the rest, of course, is history.
If I had one single round left to play in my life, I would choose Jasper Park. I think it's the most fun golf course to play. I love the mountain backdrops, the setting. The golf course is entertaining. You've got some of the most spectacular threes in the world with the Bad Baby. I happen to really love the fourth as well. I mean, Cleopatra, the ninth, is just a superb par three. It's just full of so many great holes, and I think it's a top 5 in Canada easily.
Thompson was flamboyant and a bon vivant, a man who enjoyed his life no matter what he was doing. Stories of his unconventional way of living are many. He is said to have made and lost a fortune several times over, and that, in his later years, he never missed an opportunity for a drink or two. There always seemed to be a twinkle in his eye and a skip in his step as he traveled the world building golf courses.
I worked with one of his associates for many years, Robbie Robinson, and Robbie had a lot of great stories about Stanley Thompson. One was he used to tell people that he was born in Scotland, but he was actually born in Canada. His parents were from Scotland, but I think it probably made him feel like he was, you know, more of an authentic golf course architect coming from Scotland.
Well, Stanley was an eccentric guy, for sure, and he was a character. From what we've heard and what we've read, he was a real character. And I think, you know, us in the golf business, we've all tried to study, you know, Stanley's career and his life and his eccentricities, and he was sure loaded with all of those. And there's a ton of stories. So, but he had an amazing knack for this business. And, you know, we all benefit by his skill and that special knack that he had.
It's unlikely any Canadian has had a bigger influence on the game of golf in this country than Stanley Thompson. His courses have stood the test of time and continue to challenge and amaze generation after generation of golfers. We pick up the top 100 where we left off at number 80, and that's a course that's celebrating its 100th anniversary this year, Summit Golf and Country Club in Richmond Hill. At 79 is Thomas McBroom's Bell Bay Golf Club, located in Bedeque, Nova Scotia. At 78, Thornhill's Bayview Country Club. Coming in at 77, one of the largest movers on the list is Cherry Hill, which was unranked in 2010. At 76 is the home of the 2002 RBC Canadian Open. It's Angus Glen's South Course. At 75, another Stanley Thompson design makes its mark with Sunningdale Golf and Country Club in London, Ontario. Number 74 is Eagle Creek Golf Club in Dunrobin, Ontario. At 73, Greg Norman's Windance Golf Club breaks into the top 100 for the first time.
The best holes at Windance use the quarry, and there aren't that many of them there that do it, but you know, the 8th and 9th holes and the 18th play around this really dramatic quarry setting, and I think that's really what Norman accomplished best, is he made a very friendly, playable golf course with a couple of holes that really amp it up.
Doug Carrick's Osprey Valley, the Hoot Course, sits at number 72. At 71 is Le Diable, located in Mont-Tremblant, Quebec. Les Ferber's Predator Course at Predator Ridge comes in at number 70. At 69, another Stanley Thompson course is featured. This time it's Pointe Claire, Quebec's Beaconsfield Golf Club. At number 68, Jack Nicklaus's 2008 course, Bear Mountain Golf and Country Club, the Valley Course in Victoria, British Columbia, makes its first appearance in the top 100. At number 67, another Nicklaus course. This time it's Nicklaus North Golf Club, located in beautiful Whistler. Thomas McBroom's Heron Point Golf Links, just outside of Hamilton, Ontario, stands pat at 66.
It was a great piece of land, a couple of lakes on the property, which actually became the signature 9th hole and 18th hole, where we did something pretty bold in design terms. And what I'm speaking about is having that penal heroic tee shot over the lake, and that really set Heron Point apart in those days, and gained a pretty quick reputation as a strong golf course.
At 65, Bob Cupp's Big Sky Golf and Country Club, just outside of Whistler, moves up from its previous ranking of 74. The Ridge at Manitou climbs 9 places and sits at number 64. At number 63, a club nearing its half-century mark moves up 18 spots, and that's Maple Downs Golf and Country Club. At 62, it's Robert Trent Jones Jr.'s Fairmont Chateau Whistler Golf Club, the third Whistler course in the top 100. At 61 sits David Hearn's home course, Brantford Golf and Country Club, designed in 1919 by Stanley Thompson's brother, Nicol. After this break, we'll talk to some PGA Tour stars about what type of course they prefer to play on.
Actually, I prefer one to, make you hit a whole different selection of clubs and different kind of shots off of each tee.
Well, there are a number of golf courses on our top 100 list that over the years have hosted the RBC Canadian Open. However, not many of those could still do the job today, but it does bring up an interesting point. What do PGA Tour players like to play? Do they prefer those long bomber courses that are set up as stadium courses, or do they prefer more of the parkland courses, the traditional style, which many of them grew up on? Courses such as Hamilton Golf and Country Club, which will host this year's RBC Canadian Open. Well, let's find out, because we asked them.
Prospective, meeting today's PGA Tour stars.
Week in and week out, the PGA Tour features some of North America's most incredible and difficult golf courses. Every one is a little different in its own way, from long and narrow fairways to fast and furious greens. Although there are some standards the Tour tries to achieve each week, players just don't know what they may find themselves facing as each tournament arrives. However, there's one common denominator to each course, and that's length. It's extremely rare to find a course on the PGA Tour that plays less than 7,000 yards. However, we're not sure that length automatically translates to a fun and playable course.
I think people are too caught up in the yardage, but I think it's more about the shape of the hole, how trees come in and the bunkers come in play, and the design of the greens. And you can have a great golf course that are short. And there's plenty of examples: Hilton Head, Colonial, Sawgrass. Even Sawgrass is not a long golf course. So it's not just all about length. It's about, I think, variety of holes, different kinds of yardages, and a little bit of slope here and there, but the right amount.
I think a golf course that's truly great is a tough challenge, but also very fair. I love reachable par fives and maybe a drivable par four in there. But once it gets a little tricky, I don't like it. I like when they're tough but manageable.
Most courses, there's a few holes that'll let you hit it, and I like that. I'd rather not have to rear back on every drive. I don't mind hitting 3-iron or 3-wood off tees. That's fine. I think that makes a good golf course when you got to hit a number of different shots off of the tees. When you play a golf course where you hit driver on every hole, it gets kind of old. I prefer ones that make you hit on whole different selection of clubs and different kind of shots off of each tee.
I like the little more strategic style of golf course. I like a course that you have to think about. It's not always the easiest to play and maybe doesn't suit my game the best, but I certainly enjoy those kind of golf courses that might be old school.
I hit a pretty long way, but I don't hit it as far as the long hitters. But I prefer, if it's going to be long, I want it narrow. I want it very tight. I want it like a US Open, because then the long hitters, just bomb it. They're going to end up in the rough most of the time, and they can't play the course. I'm all about shot making. That's what my whole career's it's always been based around. It's my ball striking. So, I'm all for making shots.
I'd rather play the one that you have to be a little more strategic because it makes you think a little bit more. The course where you can bomb it could get a little boring sometimes, and you can get used to doing the same thing over and over. So sometimes it's a lot better to play a course that really makes you think and make you, really think a little bit outside the box, which is a lot more fun.
I like courses where they're the old style courses where you can still have to work the ball to put yourself in position in the fairway to have a shot to the green. I try to play all the tournaments that are old traditional golf courses.
So when it comes down to it, even PGA Tour players prefer a course that defends par well and demands some strategic shots in order to get into red figures. And judging by the list of courses still to come, even our panelists agree that the classic layout designed for shot makers and not bombers is the best type of course for Canadians to play on. We pick up our top 100 countdown at number 60, beginning with Graham Cook and Wayne Carlton's top-rated Saskatchewan course, Dakota Dunes. At 59, it's Stanley Thompson's 1926 design Oakdale Golf and Country Club in Downsview, Ontario. At 58 comes the first of its kind Muskoka resort course, Deerhurst Highlands. At 57, celebrating 100 years in 2012, Scarborough Golf and Country Club. At 56, moving up 16 spots, is Quebec's Mont Bruno Country Club. At 55, Graham Cook's 2001 designed Fox Harbour Resort in Nova Scotia. Donald Ross's classic 1929 layout Essex Golf and Country Club near Windsor, Ontario, comes in at number 54.
Essex, the Donald Ross course in Windsor, best known probably for having 18 of the best greens in Canada. There are a few putting surfaces as interesting or as intriguing as Essex. It's a relatively flat golf course, but when you get to those putting surfaces, those greens, it's really where the challenge is, and it's where you can readily 5-putt the thing or putt your way off it. And I think in that regards, it's really held its own, even though it's been there for almost 100 years.
Finishing at number 53, it's Kananaskis Country Mount Lorette course. At 52 in 2010, and again in 2012, is Cobble Beach Golf Links in Owen Sound, Ontario. King City's King Valley Golf Club finishes up at number 51 this year. What better way to enter the second half of our Top 100 than with another Stanley Thompson course? This time it's the St. Thomas Golf and Country Club in Union, Ontario. It's number 50. The 49th course on our list is the second course at Jack Nicklaus's Bear Mountain, the Mountain Course. At 48, Pritis Green Golf and Country Club, the Hawk Course, moves up 10 spots from its 2010 ranking. At 47, Robert Trent Jones' London Hunt and Country Club makes a huge move from 61 in 2010. Rosedale Golf Club, which was designed by Donald Ross in 1919, sits at number 46. At 45, another Thomas McBroom course makes its way onto the Top 100 with Le Géant. And the second course from Kananaskis country, the Mount Kidd course, comes in at number 44. Jack Nicklaus's iconic 1976 design of Glen Abbey Golf Club in Oakville, Ontario, is the 43rd course on our list. Although Calgary's Glencoe Golf and Country Club is going through major renovations this summer, it sits at number 42. Gravenhurst Public Beauty Taboo is number 41 in 2012. We'll take a break from the Top 100 rankings for just a moment, but we'll get right back after this break. Well, to play all these great golf courses, you need some great gear, and that's why every week, even on our special shows, we bring you the Technology Report.
The Technology Report, a look at the science, research, and development of the game.
Cleveland is perhaps best known for its amazing wedges, and the 588 is a true example of success after chipping its way to 335 PGA Tour wins and 26 major titles over the years. But this year, Cleveland released its retro-looking classic 270 driver, a driver that 2011 PGA champion Keegan Bradley claims is the best he's ever used.
For 2012, this year from Cleveland Golf Srixon, we've launched a pretty exciting new driver with a really creative aesthetic look. It's called the Cleveland Classic. Cleveland Classic comes in 3 weights, a 270, a 290, and a 310. 310 being the Tour and the heaviest model. Our big thing is the right weight technology. We have the right weight for all types of players, from the 270, 290, 310. We can fit from the high handicapper to the Tour Pro. We have it all the models to fit them right there. We're going back to the look of yesteryear. Cleveland produced wooden persimmon product. As you see with the Classic, it has a deep mahogany finish to look like the old wooden clubs, a gold sole plate, a retro look, but with all the modern technology tucked inside. First event of the year, the Sony down in Hawaii, the tour staff overnight practically all switched to this product, which is a good indicator. It never happens with tour guys who hold on to their old trusty forever. The Classic has taken over our tour staff by storm.
Meanwhile, the 588 wedge is modeled after the #1 wedge of all time, with the added benefits of forged construction, tour zip grooves, laser milling, and the exclusive Tour Concept shaft.
The main features with the new 588 for 2012, we continue our laser mill technology, which are small texture lines milled between each of our zip grooves. Our zip grooves are the #1 groove out there in the marketplace. We added laser mill between the grooves a couple years ago to increase that spin. Now in a forged head, plus a new shaft from True Temper. They designed a shaft called the TC, or Tour Concept, for the 588. It has a higher bend point and a very stable tip to keep ball flight down a little on wedges and limit ballooning. Cleveland Golf has been the leader in wedges, for the past 30 years. 588 product has been the top-selling wedge in the history of golf. We offer all the lofts, all the bounce configurations. A customer owes it to himself to improve his game, especially in the scoring area with the scoring clubs. We feel we have the best scoring clubs on the market.
Of course, Cleveland Srixon are also ball manufacturers as well. The Z-Star is a premium ball that makes its rounds quite a bit on the PGA Tour.
The Z-Star XV is a 4-piece ball, geared at higher swing speeds and the biggest core of any ball out on the market. Alternatively from there, we've got our Srixon Q-Star product. It comes in white or tour yellow as well. It's a softer compression than Z-Star for the average player to be able to compress it. Its main feature is it limits side spin. most players that aren't breaking 100 or aren't breaking 90 really don't need all that extra spin that a urethane ball may give them. Z-Star, we think we've hit the nail on the head, reduces side spin up to 70%, and a great all-around ball for average players.
If you haven't tried out a Cleveland wedge, it might be time to give it a shot, as there's probably a reason it's the best-selling wedge of all time. We've listed off 59 of the top 100 courses so far, as we get closer and closer to number 1, so let's get back at it. At number 40, without any change from 2010, is the course where Arnold Palmer won his first PGA Tour championship. It's Weston Golf and Country Club.
Weston, another classic like St. George's, I would put it in the same sort of category. Great Willey Park layout, beautiful topography here. And again, the way Willey Park used the topography here, going across some of the ridges and across some of the valleys, and some of the green sites, the way they're perched up on some of the ridge lines here. It's a very interesting layout.
Doug Carrick's second Osprey Valley course, the Heathlands, makes the list sitting steady at number 39. PEI cracks the top 100 with the Dunderave Golf Club coming in at 38. 37 features a third Mont Tremblant course to make the top 100 with Freddie Couples' Le Maitre. At 36, Copper Creek Golf Club in Kleinburg, Ontario, moves up 7 spots from 2010. Number 35 features the Georgian Bay Club, located in Clarksburg, Ontario. At number 34, Newfoundland cracks the top 100 with its most prominent golf course, Humber Valley Golf Resort.
Humber Valley is probably one of the nicest natural properties that I've had a chance to work with the setting on Deer Lake and the Humber River, and just that transition from lakeside, through some nice wooded meadows and down into some valleys and along the riverside. There's really a great change of pace on the golf course there.
Moving up 16 spots from 2010 is Willey Park Jr.'s Calgary Golf and Country Club. Staying in Alberta on the outskirts of the Rocky Mountains in Canmore is Stewart Creek Golf Club. At 31 in Victoria, it's Royal Colwood. Only 30 more courses to go until we unveil our top course in Canada. After this break, architect Ian Andrew will break down how par 4 holes are meant to be designed. Every golf course has its fair share of par 4s. They're the 2-shot holes that we all play and we all try to dominate. But there's a lot of strategy that goes into not only designing them, but how to play them as well. So we thought we'd get one of the best architects in the business, Ian Andrew, to dissect one of the most famous par 4s in the country, along with our Jason Logan.
Bob, one of the best short par 4s in Canada is here at Hamilton Golf and Country Club in Ancaster, Ontario. It's a number 5 hole on the West 9, and Hamilton is the site of this year's RBC Canadian Open. And to help break down that hole, we've brought out a special guest, golf architect Ian Andrew of Ian Andrew Golf Design and Weir Golf Design. Ian's going to talk to us about this hole, but Ian, off the top, I would just like you to define what is a short par 4 in your estimation?
Well, a short par 4 is a hole that could vary from 275 yards through to 350 yards. And what that means to the players is you've got a chance, because it's a shorter hole, of making decisions on what clubs you choose to hit. What sort of defines it, what makes it really interesting, is all the options that are available and all the opportunity there is for some of the shorter hitters to actually make a par or birdie.
Well, there's lots of 300 or 310 yard holes across Canada. Not all of them would be great short par 4s, probably in your estimation. What makes a really, really good, a really strong short par 4?
Well, this is one of the best holes in Canada, and what makes this one remarkable is as you've got the option to play sort of 170 yards out and then hit a wedge to a very difficult angle with the green sort of going away from you. You can play 200 yards out, play to a better position, but again, now you're looking at a half wedge, and again, the green's still angled away from you. Or you can take that big risk, hit the driver. If you can get it down to the bowl in front, it's actually a very easy pitch shot, and it's a chance to make a birdie. And you've got to weigh all those risks on what you're going to try to take on in this hole, and that's kind of the fun of playing this hole.
Well, you've made it sound very inviting, and let's take a crack at it. And instead of just playing it one way, either way you've described, or one of the 3 ways, let's play it a couple different ways and find out what's happened.
Nice swing. Okay, Jason, let's take the driver at the birch trees, and let's see how this one can go.
Well, I like where my first one ended up, but try and make it a little easier on myself going into the green then.
You couldn't have placed it better than that, Jason.
So Ian, this was the result of the conservative route I took with an iron off the tee. Right in the middle of the fairway, but I gotta tell you, I'm not too comfortable with my second shot here.
You didn't take on any risk originally. Now we're looking at a situation where you've got a downhill lie. You've got some visibility issues because you've played the conservative route. And then on top of that, with this green angling away, it becomes very delicate and puts a lot of pressure on trying to hit the precise distance.
Well, let's see what I can do from the conservative play off the tee.
Nice swing.
Ian, this is the result of the aggressive play off the tee. Got lucky, I found the fairway. I haven't left myself much yardage at all into this green, but these are the shots that kind of get me nervous, and this isn't an easy play, is it?
Well, the thing I love about this though is you've got two options. So you've got a wedge in your hands and you can try fly it all the way there, but the big thing is you can also play a bump and run. And that's what I love about it. You've hit the great shot and you've got the reward of having either choice. So you should be right now playing to your strengths.
Let's see what I can do. Well, Ian, I got two balls on the green here, two different routes to get here. What's your thoughts on what I got left?
Well, it's interesting how this played out. You've played the conservative route, you've ended up short, and now all of a sudden you've got the landform to deal with, so you've got quite a breaking putt. And then on the other end, you played to a good position, took the landform out of play, and you've got a really makeable birdie putt.
Well, we've played two balls all the way up to this point. Let's just forget about that one and try and make a birdie with the aggressive route.
Oh!
Ian, is that a gimme?
That's a gimme.
All right, well listen, I want to thank you for taking us through one of the greatest short par fours in the country. I know I understand it a lot better now. I hope those of you at home understand it too. And remember, this is the site of the RBC Canadian Open this year, last week of July. If you're watching on TV or you're lucky enough to come, park yourself on this fifth hole because you're going to see a lot of different strategies. You'll see some birdies, you might see an eagle, you'll see some bogeys and some others too.
Let's get back to the list as we hit the final 30 courses, beginning with number 30, Redtail Golf Club in St. Thomas, Ontario. At 29, a course that's hosted the Canadian Open 6 times is Mississauga Golf and Country Club. At 28, featured in the Lake of Bays is Bigwood Island, another beauty from designer Doug Carrick. Rocky Crest Golf Club in Muskoka finishes up at number 27. The 26th course is a relatively young one with Eagles Nest Golf Club in Maple, Ontario. Doug Carrick's Predator Ridge, the Ridge course, makes its top 100 debut with a big splash at number 25.
The Ridge course, beautiful property, some great views of Lake Okanagan. One of the things I like about Predator Ridge is just the way the landscape changes. You start out in sort of the open grasslands, go through some wooded valleys, and then down below into some of the lower meadows, and then into some pretty rugged rocky terrain that's similar to Muskoka.
Perhaps one of the top 100's most highly discussed yet most unseen course is the private club Ovenbird in Foots Bay, Ontario, a 2005 Thomas McBroom design. The oldest course on the top 100 list is the Victoria Golf Club, which is 115 years old. It sits at number 23.
As a Canadian, everybody should try and play that golf course. You've got all the oceanside holes. It's full of quirk, wild greens. I mean, it's got everything you should and shouldn't have in a golf course, all in one package, but all in an ocean setting. I think it's, in my opinion, it's top 25 easily. One of the great places in golf in Canada.
Grey Wolf Golf Club in Panorama, British Columbia moves up 14 spots to number 22.
Grey Wolf, again, a beautiful mountain site. It was a pretty challenging site to work with, especially the first few holes that go up through a narrow valley. The first three holes climb quite an elevation up to the third green, but then you get to come down and some exciting tee shots against the mountain backdrop. I think it's a course that maybe gets overlooked a little bit because of, maybe not easy to get to, but a wonderful setting.
And number 21 is the 2011 RBC Canadian Open host, Shaughnessy Golf and Country Club. Stay tuned, there's more Score Golf TV's Top 100 course ranking ahead. Well, we're counting down all the way to number 1. Let's pick it up as we get closer to that magic number. We continue our list with number 20, Devil's Pulpit in Caledon, Ontario. Tom Fazio's brilliant design Coppenwood is at number 19. At number 18 is one of Canada's oldest and most recognized courses, the Toronto Golf Club. At 17 is the 2005 Rod Whitman designed Wolf Creek, the Old Course. At 16, Thomas McBroom's 10th course to make the top 100 list is the Links at Crowbush Cove.
It was kind of an eclectic piece of land. It had some marshland, it had some pine forest and so on. But what it really had was those marvelous views. Those views from 11 tee box and 17 tee, looking up and down the coast. It doesn't get a whole lot better than that.
At 15, Stanley Thompson's Westmount Golf and Country Club in Kitchener, Ontario. The 14th course on our list is the other Devil, Devil's Paintbrush. Another Rod Whitman design moves 12 spots from 2010 with Blackhawk Golf Club located just outside of Edmonton. Royal Montreal Golf Course, the Blue Course, sits at number 12. The Richard Zokol, Rod Whitman and Armand Sooney designed Sagebrush moves up 17 spots to sit just outside the top 10 at number 11. That's where we stop our count for now. Don't go away as we'll open up the top 10 courses in our top 100 list in just a moment.
Now, the lighter side of golf, brought to you by Michelob Ultra. Michelob Ultra, now available in Canada.
All right, guys, that was a long day teaching yesterday, and the biggest thing that I saw is we really got to find a way to help these amateurs get better hand-eye coordination. So here's what we're going to do. Let's get out to Angus Glen. Alex, I want you to set Sam up about 10 feet behind me. I need him to arc the ball so it would land out in front of me. I'm going to start to hit the ball out the air. People can hit it out the air when the ball is moving. Their hand-eye coordination is going to get way better. That's going to make it a heck of a lot easier when they just try and hit it stopped off a tee. You ready? All right, guys, so what we proved here today, if you can learn to hit a moving target, it's going to make it a heck of a lot easier when that ball's stopped on the ground.
We're finally ready to hit the top 10 courses, but before we go to break, here's a look at the biggest movers from 2010 to 2012. Well, that's 90 golf courses in the books and only 10 more to go. Yes, the infamous top 10 in Canada. Let's have a look who made it. It's a name you've heard all show long as Thomas McBroom's design of Tobiano breaks through to the top 10 for the first time as it moves up 6 spots.
Tobiano is probably the most spectacular piece of land I've ever seen. You know, it's situated on that bench high above Kamloops Lake. Just the views up and down the lake, the contrast of the desert landscape to the lake and then to the mountains in the backdrop, and the deep fissures in the topography. It was a real wow. Before it was even a golf course, it had wow factor. So that was actually fairly easy for me to actually craft a great golf course on.
Doug Carrick's final course in the top 100 is Muskoka Bay, and it sits at number 9. Number 8 is the Bob Cup Thomas McBroom co-design of Beacon Hall.
Beacon just had a phenomenal piece of land, you know, beautiful, heaving topography, sandy soils, mixture of pine trees and deciduous trees, and then contrasted, of course, with that linksy feel, almost no trees on the back nine. So you had almost two different characters from front nine to back nine.
At number 7 is a must-play for any fan of Canadian golf. It's Banff Springs Golf Club. If you haven't had a chance to visit Cape Breton Island, then you are missing out on one of Stanley Thompson's masterpieces, this number 6 ranked course, Highlands Links. Moving up 2 spots from 2010 is West Vancouver's Capilano Golf and Country Club, a favorite of golfers from coast to coast.
It's a fairly generous golf course off the tee, and the closer you get to the greens, the more difficult the golf course becomes. So a strong short game is really important here at Capilano. Bombing it helps like it does everywhere, but you do want to keep it on the fairway. The rough is difficult, and you definitely want to be able to pitch and putt the ball well to score here.
At number 4 is the 14th Stanley Thompson designed course to make our top 100 list, and perhaps Canada's most fun course to play. It's Jasper Park Lodge Golf Club.
You know, great routing. The holes are lined to different mountain peaks, and you know, I think it was probably where Thompson really developed his bunkering style, you know, patterning a lot of the bunkers after the mountain peaks and some of the snow patterns. And then I think he really developed that style from Jasper.
At number 3 is the host of this year's RBC Canadian Open, and a course that's loved by PGA Tour star Jim Furyk. It's Hamilton Golf and Country Club. The club began in 1894 and is located in Ancaster, Ontario. Renowned English golf course architect Harry Colt designed 18 of the 27 holes in 1914, with Canadian architect Robbie Robinson adding a third set in 1974. It's hosted 4 Canadian Opens, the first in 1919, and it'll host a 5th one this summer in late July. Characterized by elevated tee decks and perched in such a way that you can always see the green, Hamilton combines gorgeous tree-lined fairways with hilly terrain and deceptive bunkering to make its 7,000 yards one of the best walks anywhere.
The 9th hole south, the 18th hole, is I think one of the best finishing holes you'll find in golf. It's got a natural amphitheater there, and I think for spectating views and the final hole of any tournament, it's outstanding. The club's strong suit is the 3 pars, and I think the winner of the tournament, you'll see they'll play them very well. There's only 1 par 5 on each 9 as well. You got to get your birdies there because there's not many others on the par 4s. The 5th hole on the west, it's a small hole, looks like an easy birdie hole, but if you look back at the records, what they've scored there, it's been a little higher than par. So even though it's drivable, a lot of guys will be laying up with an iron there. I think if it's rainy, they'll throw darts at the pins and maybe score well. If it's hot, like we're hoping, the ball will run into the rough a bit more, a little more challenging.
In addition to an outstanding collection of holes, Hamilton created a 9-hole par 3 course featuring replicas of some of designer Harry Colt's best work from around the world.
We relocated the range a few years back, and we had this nice property that was really vacant. So we figured we'll resurrect this new par 3 course. We chose 6 holes on that property to replicate Colt's designs around the world, and I think we've done a great job. We opened July 1st of last season.
The number 2 ranked course on our list is the 15th and final Stanley Thompson course to make the top 100. It's St. George's Golf and Country Club. Built in 1928 in Toronto's West End, St. George's is located in a lush area of dense hardwood. With steep elevation changes and imposing trees, it's a magnificent layout that tests players with the nuances of its routing and the complexities of its greens. St. George's has hosted 5 Canadian Opens, including a memorable one just 2 years ago when Carl Peterson shot a third round 60 to set a course record that may never be broken.
I probably would say that this is Stanley's best work. But the thing I would say about St. George, it's a wonderful members course. It doesn't matter how good a player you are or how bad a player you are, you always enjoy your day here. It's one of the routing is seamless. It's one of the best walking courses I think I've ever seen or played. Certainly a wonderful piece of land with the, again, pretty dramatic topography, wonderful old 200-year-old oak trees. The stewardship of the golf course has been phenomenal over the years. It's always had the St. George's Golf Club has done a phenomenal job looking after this property over the years, not just in terms of maintenance and upkeep, but really protecting the asset, enhancing the asset, and making sure St. George's was always kept in the condition in which it was always envisaged, but also upgrading it over time when upgrades were needed. So it's a phenomenal golf course.
And the top-ranked course in Canada this year is the National Golf Club of Canada, a spot it's held onto since 2006. Mike Weir once said of the National, "Every hole is different, and I can remember every one of them. That's the sign of a great golf course." That statement is a good indication as to why the National Golf Club of Canada has topped the rankings for the 9th time. This is a layout which demands near perfection on every shot, supreme accuracy off the tee, a controlled iron game, and an extremely deft putting stroke.
It's the shot quality required on every hole. It really requires the center of the club face hit, bob on everything. There's no There's no run-ups and hit it on the toe and you're okay and everything. It requires center of the face club shots. And you can get an 80-yard golf shot, which is, pretty, or 40-yard, which is pretty automatic to some players, but not here. You better hit the center of the club face or you won't be scoring well here. The fourth hole, our fourth hole as a par 5 from the backs at 600. That hole requires power and accuracy, and numbers can happen there. There's water, there's trees, and the green, the shelf, and it requires a real good focus right until the ball's in the hole, or a good player can make a fast 8. And then the one you're looking at, 18, the home hole, is by the time you've played the 17 of them, you're looking for a little break. But no, now you've got, I think statistically, the last time I checked, the hardest hole to par on the golf course is our 18th.
Conditioning is always superb, and the National continues to strive for improvement. Add it all up, and you have the best golf course in Canada.
Week Speaks is brought to you by Bushnell, makers of the Pro 1M and Tour Z6 rangefinders.
Every time we do the top 100 ranking, you can almost guarantee that we'll hear some complaints, and generally there are two main complaints that we hear about our ranking. The first one is, why do you people run a ranking that has private golf courses in it when we can never play those private golf courses? Well, first of all, the top 100 is not meant to be a course guide. It's not meant to be a list of where you can go and play. It's meant to be a ranking of the best golf courses in the country. That's why every other year we do a public course ranking where you can see the courses that are open to everybody. The top 100 ranking that we do has private courses, public courses, semi-private resort courses. Doesn't matter what they are, we just want to know which ones are the best. And hey, it's kind of like looking at a car magazine that's got Ferraris in it. I'm never going to buy a Ferrari, but I still like to look at them. The other complaint that we hear is that advertisers pay and get moved up the list. Well, I can guarantee you that's not going to happen. One reason is we don't release the rankings to any people on our sales staff. They don't know who wins and who loses or where they are on the ranking until it comes out in the magazine. The other thing I can tell you is, if we did accept advertising money, those rankings would look a lot different than they do right now. So just enjoy the rankings. You don't have to agree with them. In fact, we don't expect you to agree with them. That's why we do them, to start some talk and start some discussion about the best golf courses in this country. That's all the time we have for this week on Score Golf TV on our big Top 100 special. Look for the ranking in Score Golf magazine, and we'll look for you next time right here on Score Golf TV.
Thanks for watching Score Golf on TSN, the voice of Canadian golf. Score Golf is powered by Volkswagen. From one good drive to another. Jack Link's Beef Jerky, Feed Your Wild Side, and Kelowna Tourism. 19 golf courses from easygoing to ego-shattering.
Clothing provided by Callaway Golf Canada.